Yo, what is up guys, and welcome to another Wild Rift video. And in today's video, I'm gonna be doing a tier list for every single role in the game. ORNN and VOLIBEAR just got released, and I waited a couple days, I played them, and now I have a good grasp of how strong they really are. A lot of different things have changed as well since my tier list in patch 4.2, I believe, because of course things got changed, items got changed, especially in the ADC role. A lot has changed, and yeah, we're going to be getting into it very soon, but just first, a quick word from the video sponsor. This video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends is a free-to-play RPG game where you can assemble your own squad and decide how you strategize in the game. As you can see, I'm against a few enemies right now too. I just cut off their armor so they won't do as much damage to me. Ugh! Man, that hurt. What the hell are you doing? Alright, let's check back into the campaign. I'm at Velvin's Cave right now. Assemble my squad. I still got my Ronda Rousey, by the way, and this is my favorite squad, so let's get into it. Alright, I'm gonna save my powerful attack from the Ronda Rousey right now. I don't want to use it yet, because this guy can do a lot of damage as well, as you can see. I know my champions, I've picked them wisely, and like right now, as you can see, I can use the more powerful attack to beat the second wave. So you can save your attacks, play it a bit smarter than just randomly using your abilities, because if you just do it randomly, then you're gonna lose. Like, you're not gonna win everything. Before continuing, I just wanna ask one question to Death Knight, since he's getting banned all the time. What is your strategy going into the live arena? Just tell us.
Well, everyone thinks I'll go in fighting, but nobody expects my charm. My best strength is the gift of gab. So when they try to attack, I'll just be like, nice weather we're having, eh? Nobody will see it coming.
Call of the Arbiter is in full swing now, and Raid is adding some of the new characters from the series, and right now everyone can get a legendary champion Artak, a mighty orc warlord, for free. Just log into Raid for 7 days between now and July 24th and you'll get him. Download Raid Shadow Legends through my link in the description or scan the QR code right here and get a free starter pack with this awesome in-game loot. Alright, on to the video. So there's timestamps in the description if you just want to see the tier list and you don't really care about the video. I do want to remind you guys, I am doing a skin giveaway. All you have to do is put down a comment under the video. And I'm gonna ask you to comment something, because throughout all the roles that are in the video right here, there's only one champion that I've put in the broken tier. You know, this is a new tier that I'm incorporating in my tier lists, because, you know, the S plus tier was like the best champion in the S plus tier was always way better than, like, you know, the last champion in the S plus tier. And it doesn't really make sense that they're in the same tier, you know what I mean? So I've made a broken tier, which is truly made for absolutely broken champions. And right now, I only believe there is one. Who is your guess that that one champion is? Put it in the comments and you'll see later on in the video if you're right. So we start off with the Baron lane, and to be fair, like, my opinion hasn't changed about Wukong. This champion is just so disgusting. You build a Divine Sunderer and you don't lose lane anymore. Wukong can hard carry games, and it's just so easy to play him in lane. It's so easy, because all you have to do is just use your first ability consistently on the enemy, and generally you're not gonna lose lane hard. Like, unless you get ganked really hard or you completely screw up your lane, you can escape any, like, if you get caught, you can escape anything with your second ability. You just drop your clone and you escape. But you don't have to escape often, because you'll win the fights. So, like, he's just incredibly powerful. Full AP Gragas is still dominating the scene. Whenever I pick full AP Gragas, I just win games. He's just such a ridiculous champion. He does way too much damage. Of course, he's not very tanky, but like, that's the point of going full AP. But he's way too strong. Like, laning with him is so easy. You just constantly drop your barrel on the enemy and, you know, you bully them. And in the late game, you know how it goes. You can just flash third ability on the enemy and you'll one-shot them. Of course, your ultimate provides massive value as well in teamfights. It is just ridiculous. Gwen, yet again, another ridiculous champion. I don't know why Gwen is not being picked or banned, to be honest, because a good Gwen player can 1v9 the game. Gwen is one of those champions that can genuinely 1v9. With her ultimate in the later stages of the game, if she shoots it through multiple enemies, she's gonna heal up to full HP from 0 HP, and she's just gonna demolish the enemy. Also, her first ability doing true damage. I mean, what the hell else do you need with this champion? She literally has everything. And then her second ability, which allows her to avoid anything for like 3 seconds through in a team fight. What the hell? I mean, what the hell? Next up, you know, to be honest, like, about Fiora, it's a bit hard for me to kind of rank her because you know what it is, in like top tier, you know, super high elo, a really good Fiora is kind of broken. But like now that I'm thinking about it, if I want to have this tier list be for like every elo, I would probably put Fiora here. Reason being is because people don't know how to play against, people don't know how to play around split pushing champions. Fiora is obviously like 100% split pushing. You never really want to team fight too much with Fiora. She's all about those 1v1s, 2v2s, 3v3s. So you really have to know how to play around it. Again, in high elo, Fiora is incredibly powerful, but I would guess that in lower elos, people don't really know how to play with the Fiora. You know, people are going to be team fighting for dragons and they're going to die and blame the Fiora. You know what I mean? That they're not going to... They don't understand. They don't understand how to play around it. So that's why I'm actually putting her in the top of the S tier. Garen is still Garen. What a ridiculously powerful champion Garen is. I just played a game on Garen and I absolutely 1v9'd the game. It's ridiculous how strong he is. Super tanky. Of course, the one thing that makes Garen disgusting is his ultimate. In the later stages of the game, you'll be able to one-shot anyone with your ultimate if they're just sitting at a third HP. Even if it's like an Alistar or something. Alistar ults, you don't care, you're just gonna kill him with your ult. Because it does true damage. It is honestly a disgusting champion. To add to that, he's like unkillable. And his third ability will shred everyone's armor when you build a Black Cleaver. What else do you need from a champion? You know, like literally nothing. Next up is Jax. And Jax is still a menace in the Baron lane. Such a strong split pusher, but see the difference from Jax between Jax and Fiora is Jax can actually team fight as well. He's really good at team fighting, really good at frontlining, really good at everything. Has massive mobility because he can constantly jump around with his first ability. He is literally everything you need. And next up, we got my boy Ornn. And I'm gonna ask you guys, do you want to see me play Ornn? Because I've been practicing him a bit, trying to record a video. If you guys want to see Ornn, you know, within a couple days, make sure you give the video a like. You know what, if the video reaches 1,000 likes, I'll make sure I get you guys an Ornn video within 3 days. I'm not saying tomorrow, because I'm still practicing him, but I'll spam him day and night to make sure I get you a banger video within 3 days. Because I feel like Ornn may even be stronger than what I've placed him in. I'm playing Ornn right now, I'm dominating most of my lanes, he's ridiculously powerful, but I feel like he's even stronger than I think, because he's a very, very hard champion, and I think when people really start to understand how to combo his stuff, he'll be an absolute ridiculously strong champion. Like, in the late game, he gets 5,000 HP, by the way, just so you know, he gets 5,000 HP. If you reach level 50, he can actually get even more HP, but he gets 5,000 HP and like 300 armor, 250 magic, it's just ridiculous. He gets a ridiculous amounts of stats in the late game and he becomes unkillable because you go for a Warmog as well. Next up is Sett. Sett is very, very powerful. Not too much to say about him, to be honest. He's just very strong. He can hold his ground in the Baron lane. And in teamfights, he's very good. He also counters massive tanks like the Ornn because he can just ult Ornn into the enemy team and do massive damage. People tend to forget about that part on Sett's ultimate. I see every Sett really just ulting the squishies, you know, because they want to catch the squishies. I never really see people play Sett's ultimate around tanks. People need to remember Sett's ultimate does massive bonus damage based on the enemy's bonus HP. So when you're against an Ornn, against a Swain, against, you know, any type of champion that gets massive bonus HP, keep that in mind and pick Sett and ult that enemy into the, you know, into their team. Next up is Aatrox, doesn't need a further introduction, so unbelievably powerful. I would say though he feels a bit weaker now than in previous patches. Oh, I believe they nerfed his third or his first ability. They did nerf something about him. He's obviously still incredibly powerful, but he does feel a bit weaker than before. Thus, you know, that's why I'm putting him in the bottom S+ tier. Yone, you know, thinking about it right now, probably not this far. No, you know what? Yes, you know what? Because he can just build a Blade of the Rune King. Like, the reason that I was gonna put him a bit lower is because, you know, generally he doesn't perform too well into bruisers. But to be honest, Yone with a Blade of the Rune King, he'll be able to perform quite well into bruisers as well. You know, like the Garen, like the Jax, like he'll do fine. Because Blade of the Rune King does a lot of damage against those tankier types of champions. And of course, the later game, Yone is very, very powerful. Camille is very easy to play and very, very rewarding. She's not that strong in the earlier game, but in the later stages of the game, she'll destroy the enemy. With that true damage on her first ability, she's so powerful. The hook shot being so easy to land as well. And of course, that invaluable ultimate of Camille. You know, you keep enemies within your wall, doesn't matter what they do. And people are really bad at using stasis enchant. I mean, in high elo, people will stasis your ult, but in lower elos, I don't think people are going to stasis Camille ult. And Camille ult is just so valuable. You know, for example, if you're against like a 12-0 Ezreal, all you have to do is just Camille ult that Ezreal and everyone all ins and collapses on that Ezreal. You're going to destroy him and you're going to get the shutdown. Next up is Riven. Riven can carry games. She feels a bit weaker now than in previous games. I don't know why she feels weaker, but she definitely feels weaker than previous patches. Perhaps it's because of the addition of Volibear and ORNN and changes to items. I don't know. Like some champions, I just can't really explain why they feel weaker. Like I'm doing these tier lists based on what I'm seeing and based on what I'm feeling. And Riven definitely feels weaker. Renekton feels okay. But yet again, I just don't really like him too much. You know, they added the change to Renekton where he can shred through shields right now. But to be fair, like how useful is it really? How useful is it really? Because, you know, generally when you go in as a Renekton, you catch out enemies with your second ability. So for example, Urgot, who has a shield on his third ability, you'll go on him and you'll stun him instantly. And then he's going to use his third ability and he's going to get the shield anyways. I would say that it's only useful against a set. Like Renekton's anti-shield is probably only useful against set, maybe useful against Sona and Karma, but like it will only really help you in the 1v1 matchup against a set lane. Because of course when Set uses his second ability, you're gonna slash through that shield and destroy the set. Darius is okay. I don't really have too much to say about him. He's just okay. But like I would say it requires a really skilled Darius player for him to work in the current meta. Because there's a lot of CC. So you really need to be skilled on Darius. Because people need to remember Darius's ultimate makes him unstoppable. Which means you can actually block CC during the Darius ultimate if you time it correctly. But again, I would say you do need to be very good at Darius for him to work in the current meta. Same story for the next champion, which is Irelia. Irelia is very strong, but I feel like she's a bit out of place in the current meta. But a good Irelia player will still be incredibly powerful in the patch in the game right now. Swain, I feel like, is a bit of an underrated champion in the Baron lane. Swain is really good against bruisers for the reason that he'll be able to get stacks very easily in the Baron lane. If you're laning against, you know, like any sort of a melee champion, you'll be able to get stacks so easily with your third ability and second ability, which will give you a lot of bonus HP in the later stages of the game, which allows you to be super tanky and carry more easily. You do have to be a bit careful though, because Swain is not that good at all ins against these bruisers, because he really doesn't do that much damage in the earlier stages of the game. But it's just for the purpose of getting free stacks in the bot lane, I would say. So I feel like maybe it could work quite well. Olaf Baron lane, a bit underwhelming. He's just okay. Shen in the Baron lane, I only really recommend it if you're duoing with your jungler. Like for example, you're playing Master Yi jungle with a Shen top lane. Every time Master Yi goes in, Shen is just gonna ult the Master Yi, you know what I mean? Or like Olaf, for example. Whenever Olaf goes in, Shen is just gonna ult him, and they can basically 2v8 the game. Otherwise, I never recommend you to pick Shen in solo queue. Sion is fine. But Sion kind of gets countered by a lot of champions in the meta. Like Gwen will destroy Sion. Garen will do really well to Sion. Gragas destroys Sion because whenever Sion uses his first ability, Gragas can put his first ability on top of him and destroy him. And I would say Ornn is probably going to destroy Sion as well. Like Sion is just not a good pick in the current meta, I would say. Pantheon is fine. He's okay. Cannon is okay for like all-in types of compositions. Mundo is okay. Urgot got a buff, but he still feels a little bit weak. Kill, I want to talk about Kill real quick. You only want to pick Kill. There's 3 scenarios you want to pick Kill, okay? No, 4. Let me tell you the 4 scenarios you pick Kill. No, there is actually 3. First one is if you have a Lulu or a Yuumi in your team. This is the first scenario. If you have a Lulu or a Yuumi in your team, you pick Kill, and that Lulu or Yuumi can focus on you in the later game and you carry the game. Second scenario, if you're against a lot of AP melee champions, mainly assassins, so Gragas doesn't count. So for example, Evelynn, Akali, Katarina, Fizz, all these types of champions killed us really, really well against. What was the third scenario? It's like, oh, I forgot, because there's a few champions that is basically a free... Oh, if you're against a free matchup in lane. So like Sion, if the enemy picks Sion, you can pick kill in the Baron lane and you'll win Baron lane easily. Any other example? I'm looking through the Baron laners. I would only say like Sion is like an easy matchup. So like you can pick kill into Sion and win your lane. Otherwise, you're basically always get doomed to lose your lane. But those 3 scenarios, you can pick kill and do incredibly well at. Otherwise, never pick kill in the Baron lane. Twin emitter is okay. Graves is okay. Vayne is meh, you know. You can of course play it into tanks, but if people know how to play against a Vayne, it won't really work. And anyone else that's interesting to talk about? VOLIBEAR. I don't really like VOLIBEAR in Baron lane. Like, I don't think he's very strong in Baron lane. He does have a strong ultimate, though. Keep that in mind. Like, if your jungler wants to gank, you can ult the turret. But you know what? He is stronger than B tier. I would probably rank him somewhere here, actually. Above Malphite. Malphite sucks. Somewhere here. Yeah, somewhere here. A good VOLIBEAR will be able to get some good kills if he has a good synergy with the jungler, because they can gank very well, because he can literally disable the turret for 5 seconds. Warwick, by the way, is very underwhelming in the Baron lane, because even though they made the change where you can use your first ability to kill minions and it reduces the cooldown, it would have been useful if it refunds your mana as well. Because after using your first ability like 4 or 5 times, you're literally running out of mana already. So if they did a little bit of a change where they allowed you to refund mana, then I think Warwick Baron lane would be top A tier, maybe even S tier. Next up, we got the jungle. And I was very close to putting 2 champions, or even 3 champions in the broken tier. But to be honest, it's not broken. It's just, I would say, S+ tier. First one, Kayn. We all know the power of Kayn right now. And if you haven't seen my Kayn video yet, I mean, what are you even doing? Leave this video and watch it, because I explain a certain strategy which is absolutely ridiculous. You go Shimmering Spark in the early game and you just fight and fight and fight, and you can literally get your passive in 2 minutes. Like, you can get it as early as 2 minutes. And it's not, and it is consistent. You know, you'll basically get your passive between 2 and 5 minutes. You just have to play it correctly. Watch my Kayn video and you'll see. Same story for Red Kayn. You know, this is for Blue and Red Kayn. But honestly, Blue Kayn feels a little bit stronger. But I want to say, don't underestimate Red Kayn. The video that I made, I was playing Red Kayn. Check it out. I'm not going to talk about it too much now. Just check it out. Next up is Evelynn. And Evelynn used to be broken tier, always basically. But the recent updates have changed my opinion about it. And it's not just my opinion, she's just weaker. Evelynn is weaker. Multiple reasons why she's weaker. Reason number 1, Immortal Shield Wall hard counters Evelynn. Because it gives you the shield when you're low HP, it hard counters it. Reason 2, tanks are meta right now. So like ORNN, VOLIBEAR, they're not gonna die easily to Evelynn. Reason number 3, Jhin is meta right now. Jhin is probably the biggest counter to Evelynn in the game, because Jhin has his traps. If you're against a good Jhin, you'll never be able to do anything as an Evelynn. Also, like, whenever Jhin can see you, he can just root you with his second ability, and he can ult you to make sure you don't go invisible anymore, and he'll destroy you. So those are the reasons that Evelynn is not broken tier anymore. But keep in mind, she's still top S+ tier. You can absolutely 1v9 many games on Evelynn. Same goes for Diana, not as good as Evelynn, but very powerful. But in a different way. Diana can carry games while not being invisible, of course. She's very good at ganking, her ultimate is very strong. Late game she can one-shot enemies. She's just an overall very solid champion. Back to Wukong, by the way. Absolutely disgusting champion in the jungle. What can I say? Really nothing to say. Very good ganks. Fast jungle clear, late game he can carry, very tanky, everything. Honestly, they should just nerf his damage. Like, his tankiness is fine. I think it's fine that he's so tanky. But like, come on. Why can a Wukong just destroy the enemy ADC? Why can a Wukong just absolutely 1v9 games? Wukong is not supposed to be able to do that. He needs to tone it down. Kha'Zix is very strong. Somehow this assassin is you know, squirming himself through the tank meta. He's very strong. He's very, very strong. You're either playing with an Electrocute or a Conqueror, but I do recommend Electrocute so you can one-shot the squishies. But a Conqueror will allow you, like if you go Conqueror plus Black Cleaver, it will allow you to destroy tanks as well. So it's even a versatile champion. It's not like you can only pick him into squishies. Like he's just overall a very, very strong champion. Next up is my boy VOLIBEAR. And I'm talking about the Bruiser build, where you go for Divine Sunderer, Black Cleaver, Spirit Visage. Spirit Visage is so disgusting on VOLIBEAR because not only does it increase the healing from the Divine Sunderer, not only does it increase the healing from the second ability, it also increases the healing from your ultimate, you know, the bonus HP that it gives you. It increases the shielding from your third ability. It is just ridiculous. And it, of course, it increases the healing of your second ability as well. Spirit Visage is the most disgusting item on VOLIBEAR, and he's so good. He's insanely powerful late game, and in early game, you know, when you just reach level 5, you can get easy kills by disabling the enemy tower and just turret diving early on in the game. Just honestly, overall, a very solid champion. He can chase down enemies as well. He has good CC. He has it all. He has it all. Next up is Vi, and honestly, like, I didn't think I would put Vi in the S+ tier, but her ultimate just feels way too strong. Like, Vi's ultimate is just such a stupid ability. The ability to lock down an enemy champion so easy. Excuse me. Ooh, I got a lot of air in my lungs, so I gotta drink some water. Give me a second, guys. Alright, yeah. So Vi is just so powerful. Vi has the fastest jungle clear in the game, by the way. There is not a single jungler with a faster jungle clear. You can test it out if you want to. Vi has the fastest jungle clear, so that adds to her power as well. She'll be able to get level 5 very, very quickly, get an easy kill. Like, her ultimate is really... Honestly, it's all about her ultimate. Like, it's all about Vi's ultimate that's making her S+ tier for me. The single target knock-up and, you know, allowing her to knock up even more with her first ability is just so powerful. Riven Jungle S+ tier because she can carry games like crazy. I'm gonna take this off, it's way too warm. You guys are gonna have to deal with this hair right now. But Riven Jungle is insanely powerful. She can carry games very well. Her ganking is pretty good. Okay, maybe I need to fix it a little, just a tad bit. Just overall, very, very solid champion. I haven't put her in like top S+ tier because yet again, she feels a little weaker. Still S+ tier, but just she feels weaker to me. Twist Jungle, he got nerfed pretty hard, but still feels very, very powerful. And I'm talking about AP Twitch. You can play AD Twitch Jungle as well, but like, meh. AP Twitch is really where it's at. Faster jungle clear with AP Twitch and stronger late game. Very, very strong late game, by the way. Like, still very, very strong. His ganking is a little bit weaker than before because he's not as fast during his first ability. My nose is itching, by the way. Like, throughout the whole video, it's itching like crazy. I don't know why. Well, I do have an allergy to stuff like this, but that's fine. That's fine. Aatrox Jungle. Not as... I would say he's a bit weaker than Riven. He feels very similar to Riven, but I would say he feels a little bit weaker. You know why he feels weaker in the jungle? Again, he is still top S tier, but he feels weaker. Reason that he feels weaker is because his ganks are not as powerful. Like, he's still a very strong champion, but it's not as easy to get kills with ganks than it is with Riven, for example. Because Riven's ultimate is an insane ganking ability. Riven's first ability is really good, you know, flash combos with Riven. It's just much stronger than Aatrox. It's much more reliable. Xin Zhao is a very underrated and very strong jungler. Very, very strong. He does so much damage. His ultimate is really, really good. He's especially strong in the early game. Like, the fact that he can 1v1 champions like a Lee Sin or a Pantheon early on in the game really shows how strong he is. His ganking is really good too because he has a knock-up with his first ability. He has very big range to reach the enemy too. Just overall, a very strong champion. He does fall off a little bit in the late game, but again, his ultimate is very strong in late game teamfights, and his, like... Okay, he does fall off a little bit in the late game. Like, that, what can I say? Kai'Sa Jungle is still playable. She has a slower jungle clear now. Keep that in mind. But she's still playable. She's still quite strong. And I'm talking about AP Kai'Sa right here. She's still strong in the jungle. You just have to get through that earlier stage of the game. You know, get through the slower jungle clear. But just like Gwen, you know, they also supposedly destroyed in the jungle. And like Jax, who they supposedly destroyed in jungle. She's still playable and she's still very, very strong. Full AP Gragas, yet again, I'm not going to talk about him. He's just very good. Very, very good in the jungle. Now Zed is an interesting one. For a good Zed player out there, Zed jungle is really strong. Because remember like half a year ago where they changed all ultimates, where every ultimate has like a lower cooldown? This allows Zed to gank much more efficiently. Zed's ultimate is a very strong tool for ganks because it's like an assassination ability. So every single time you're going to have it up and you're going to be able to gank consistently with Zed and get kills much more consistently than before. And of course, in the later stages of the game, Zed is very strong. And remember, if you want to play Zed jungle, you have to know how to play it. You have to hit your abilities twice. No, you have to hit your abilities with a clone. So like hit your shuriken 2 times on the enemy, hit your third ability 2 times on the enemy, and you'll be able to conserve mana or energy, I think it's called for Zed, and you have a very fast jungle clear. Jarvan is good. You know, you can go tank Jarvan, you can go lethality Jarvan, you can go any sort of a situational Jarvan. So like you can always pick him and be useful in a game. Also, something that's underrated about Jarvan is his third ability, which provides a lot of attack speed to your entire team. So use that in team fights and your ADC will be buffed just because you're Jarvan. Yone jungle is strong, but I would say very hard to play. Only the very skilled Yone players are going to be able to fully utilize Yone jungle because it's very hard to play. Very hard to play. I made a video with Zealous on Yone jungle. You should check it out if you want to. It's very entertaining, but like he shows you the level that you truly need to be a good Yone jungle. Zed jungle also requires high skill, but Yone requires a higher skill. Because to be effective at ganking with Yone, you have to be able to get your first ability properly on the tornado, hit your ultimates consistently. It's just hard. It's really hard. Jack's jungle is good. He has a slow jungle clear now because of course they changed Jack's jungle, but he's still good. You can still power farm. It only takes you much longer than before, but like he's still good in the jungle. You can power farm and carry in the late game. Nautilus jungle, you know, whether you go AP or tank, but mainly AP Nautilus is quite good. He does so much damage, has a fast jungle clear. His ganking is incredibly good. And even though you go full AP, he's still decently tanky. Of course, not very tanky, but decently. Shen jungle, only play it in duo or trio queue. Same story as playing Shen in the Baron lane. Only play it like in duo or trio queue, and then you're constantly going to be ulting your duo queue teammate. You know, if you have a Yasuo mid lane, for example, it's going to be very nice to pick Shen in the jungle because you can just ult your Yasuo when he goes in. Olaf jungle feels a bit underwhelming. I thought with the changes, Olaf jungle would be like, you know, broken tier, but yet again he feels underwhelming. Perhaps that could be because of his new ultimate, because it's quite easy to run away from Olaf when he's ulting, even though he gets movement speed. Because every champion is just faster. You need to remember they buffed boots. And also, like, you know, with champions like Jhin dominating the ADC scene, Olaf cannot do anything against the Jhin, because Jhin is faster than Olaf. So, I don't know, like, it just feels like Olaf is not that strong with the new changes. Rammus is fine, it's nothing special. He has good ganking, but he's just fine, nothing special. Again, the fact that every champion is a bit faster indirectly nerfs Rammus, because you know the power of Rammus is because he's so fast. But every champion being a little bit faster, yet again, is an indirect nerf to Rammus. Jay's jungle is okay. I never really liked playing Jay's, but he's fine. He's okay. He's decent ganking. He's a lot of damage. But like yet again, I feel like you really have to be very good at this champion to be able to carry games, because I feel like he does fall off. Gwen jungle, she has a slow jungle clear, but they actually buffed it recently a little bit because they changed the third ability, I believe, where it gives you a lower cooldown earlier on in the game. She's okay. Because like even though she has a slow jungle clear, just like Kai'Sa, just like Jax, she's such a powerful champion that she's still going to be able to hard carry games. You can just farm yourself up and carry the game in the late game. Shyvana feels a bit weaker in the current patch than she was in the previous patches, but she's still very strong. Master Yi is good. Like Master Yi is honestly good. I hate that he's good, but he's good. Do you guys remember the OG tier lists where there always used to be where I would always put the effort in the video to like make a million different tiers and put the Yi tier in the bottom? Maybe I should bring it back. But like the thing is, Yi is actually useful now as opposed to you know, long ago. But you know who is not useful anymore? I feel like Lee Sin sucks. I only think super high elo good Lee Sin players are going to be able to utilize it properly now. But like honestly, I feel like Lee Sin may need a buff. I hate to say it, but like I think Lee Sin actually needs a buff. He feels quite weak right now. Like late game, he's obviously pretty useless already. but he just feels weaker. Like with the meta going and everything, he just doesn't feel strong right now anymore. What can I say? He just doesn't really feel strong. Morgana jungle is okay. With the recent changes to the jungle, where you can't take the big fat Branga and the blue buff at the same time anymore. I feel like it nerfed Morgana quite a lot. Her jungle clear is not fast anymore. She's still okay in the jungle, but because they nerfed that, it kind of killed Morgana jungle. Pyke jungle is good. They did nerf his jungle clear, but it's still very, very good. Pyke is a very strong champion. Mundo is fine. Anyone else I need to talk about? Rengar is fine. Renekton jungle, I only put it here because a friend of mine, Baron VG, loves playing Renekton, but it sucks. Kill jungle, yet again, you only really want to play... Well, actually, you know what? Kill jungle does work. But you kind of have to be a kill OTP to make kill jungle work, because you really have to know what you're doing. You really have to have good map awareness. And it's a bit risky because no one really knows how to play around the kill jungle. They're always going to be trying to go aggressive instead of trying to play it passive and let you farm up your jungle. Next up is the mid lane. Yet again, no real broken tier, but someone that is close to broken tier is Zoe. Even with the nerfs to Zoe, she still feels so powerful. It's ridiculous how strong this champion really is. Like, the fact that she can one-shot champions so easily while maintaining safety. Also the fact that she constantly picks up, stasis enchants, flashes, ignites, stone plates, anything that gets dropped on the ground is so ridiculous. But I would say it's fun. I think that one is really, really fun. Like, it allows really crazy outplays. Like, one time I was against this Zoe, she literally used 3 flashes and 2 stasises in one team fight. What the hell are you even supposed to do against that? You know what I mean? Like, she's constantly flashing and stasising around and using proto belts and everything. It's pretty cool. I think it's really, really cool. Next up is Yone. Even with the nerf on Immortal Shield Bow and the nerf on his second ability, he's a very strong mid laner. But you need to be good on this champion. You need to be really, really good on this champion. Just overall, very strong champion. He can gank very well. He can hard carry games. And he can lane pretty well. His second ability allows him to play against those ranged bullies because he does damage and gets mana. No, he does damage and he gets a barrier. So he's just overall very, very solid champion. It's very warm, by the way. Oof. Oh, it's so warm over here in the Netherlands. Like, maybe you'll see shirtless videos of me, like, no joke. But I would have to put up the camera a little bit because I know some of you guys out there, So yeah, Ahri is very, very strong as well. Very strong ganking. And even in the late game, she's useful now. Of course, with the changes they made to her like 2 or 3 months ago, the rework, it's actually longer ago. She's now useful in the late game. That's the beauty, because her ultimate is very powerful now. When you get a takedown, you get another charge. So it allows you to really all in an enemy, get the kill and get the hell out of there with your ultimate, because you can jump over walls and anything like that. As opposed to the old Ahri, where if you would all in an enemy, get the kill, you were screwed because you couldn't escape anymore. So Ahri is very, very good. The only problem is Ahri cannot really chunk down tanks too well, but it's fine. It's fine. Every champion has its weaknesses. A champion that doesn't have weaknesses though is Diana. Diana in the mid lane is so strong, guys. It's such a powerful champion. It's just ridiculous how strong Diana really is in the mid lane. She does well into ranged bullies because her first ability allows her to farm safely. She has good ganks, very good team fights. The only thing I would say, she could struggle against like sustained damage types of champions perhaps. Like Swain will destroy her, Gallia will do really well into her, Corki will do really well into her, like Kai'Sa will, there are champions that will do really well into Diana. Talking about Kai'Sa though, you can play AP Kai'Sa mid lane. I've made many AP Kai'Sa mid lane videos, but now it's actually really strong. Like, it used to be okay-ish already, but now you don't have to build, you don't have to do these weird ass builds. You can just go Muramana into full AP, and it's insanely powerful in the mid lane. Very, very powerful. Katarina mid lane, this champion can 1v9 any game, it's crazy. However, you do have to be careful against champions like the Vi and that can cancel your ultimate. And there's this enchantment, I don't know what it's called. The enchantment that Repulsor, I think it's Repulsor enchant. A good enemy will go Repulsor against Katarina and cancel the ultimate. And people are figuring it out. I'm seeing people actually build Repulsor. So I feel like this could maybe be, not the downfall of Katarina, but people are understanding how to counter this champion now. Next up is Swain. Swain is so strong, guys. Swain is so strong. Whether you go full AP Swain or you go Swain with an armor on Twin Guard, it's just such a strong champion. Especially, you know what the beauty is of Swain? Swain hard counters Ornn and Volibear. There's a fly right, or there's a mosquito. I think you could even see it on the camera. But Swain counters Volibear and Ornn, because Volibear and Ornn are all about tanking and doing sustained damage. Swain counters that stuff because his ultimate will heal up and drain their lives, and he'll be an absolute menace to them. So whenever you see enemies picking Ornn and Volibear, throw Swain at their faces and you'll destroy them. You'll be so strong into them. Next up is Yasuo. Yasuo is just a solid mid laner. Nothing special about him. He's just solid. However, he did indirectly get buffed because Ornn got released, of course. Also, I don't think I've forgotten a single champion in any tier list now. I literally checked it like 5 times for every role, and I made sure to incorporate every champion in every tier list. So hopefully I didn't forget anything this time. But yeah, Yasuo is just good. Corki is good as well. I feel like people are not really playing him too much because it's just such a boring champion. Like, in my opinion, Corki is just so boring. Like, he's strong, he's good, his package is good, but it's just a boring champion, so let's not talk too much about him. Galio, on the other hand, is a cool champion. Galio counters all AP mages. No, all AP melee champions, like Akali, like Katarina, like Diana. He destroys Diana. You know, he counters all of those champions. So if you see those champions in the enemy, pick Galio. And Galio is also a good champion if your team has a solid engage. So if your team has a Yone with the ultimate, if your team has a Camille, if your team has a Riven, if your team has sort of diving champions, you know, Galio is a very good one, because when your teammate dives, you as a Galio instantly ult that teammate and follow up the engage beautifully. It's very, very strong. Zed in the mid lane is good, you know, very good at ganking side lanes. Zed does fall off in the later game though, in the current meta especially, because those tanks, Zed is never gonna kill Ornn, you know what I mean? So Zed does fall off in the late game. Also, you need to remember Zed got indirectly nerfed with the movement speed buffs, because it's going to be a bit harder to hit your shurikens on the enemy. But it's not a big nerf. Annie, I always used to put Annie in the S+ tier, you know, because it's always the secret S+ tier pick. But Annie is a bit weaker now, because with all the tanks rising, Annie feels a bit weaker. She's still very strong. Don't get me wrong, she's still very, very strong. But yet again, she feels a bit weaker. Orianna is good. She can carry games very, very well. But I feel like people have kind of figured out Orianna a bit. People are focusing Orianna. You know, they're diving her like crazy now. I honestly feel like people are just kind of figuring out Orianna. Like, you know what's funny? It's always like some champions that are always going to be secretly OP. You know, like Janna, like Sona. But there's always going to be a point where people kind of figure it out and they know what to do. And I feel like that's what's happening to Orianna right now, because even though she received that buff, remember the buff that she received? I thought she would be beyond broken, but like when playing Orianna myself, people kind of figured out how to play against it. You know, they're picking the champions, they're diving me like crazy, they're figuring it out. Akshan is fine. Like nothing special. Akshan is just fine, and he would work quite well into Ornn and Volibear because he can get a Bladed Rune King. He can go for sort of an on-hit build and do very, very well into them. Veigar is great, especially because like a lot of melee champions are being picked in the current meta, you know, also with Ornn and Volibear being released. Veigar does really well into that because his cage is very, very powerful into these melee types of champions. Because of course, you know, you'll be able to hit it so easily and they're gonna walk into it and take free damage from you as a Veigar. Irelia mid is very good, but only with a really skilled player. But like, I feel like the shine has gone away from Irelia. She's nothing special. But again, a good Irelia player can still 1v9 games. Lux mid lane is very good. You hit one binding, the first ability, and you just get a kill. You literally get a kill. It's so easy. Unless the enemy uses stasis enchant, it's always a guaranteed kill, unlike the enemy ADC or the enemy mid laner or like any sort of a squishy champion. So it's very scary to play against a Lux, because you know it, right? Like one root and you're instantly dead. Karma mid lane is a good safe pick, like a very good supportive type of mid laner for your team. If your team has a lot of tanks and a lot of damage already, you can pick Karma in the mid lane just to be more of a supportive type of mid lane. Bear in mind, Karma still does a lot of damage, but of course she doesn't do as much damage as like, you know, the Diana mid lane, Ahri mid lane. But like to counter that, she provides support to the team. Pyke mid is a disgusting champion. If you're a good Pyke player and you're a good mid laner, Pyke mid is going to be an S+ tier pick, because Pyke's rotating potential is so powerful. Like, especially whenever you see an enemy that is low HP, literally just gank, only ignite that enemy, dash to them, and you're going to be able to ult them and get free kills every single time. It's crazy. It's really, really powerful. Akali mid lane feels a bit underwhelming, but a good Akali player is going to be very strong. But again, it feels underwhelming. I think Akali is not that strong in the current meta. What can I say? She just doesn't feel that strong. It's not the same old Akali anymore. Kassadin feels okay, but like I only think like late game Kassadin is gonna be very strong. But even still, into tanks, Kassadin is gonna struggle. But Kassadin can 1v9 games. What can I say? Kassadin is just still a very solid champion. Vex is good with the ultimate. It's very, very nice for diving backlines. Gragas is good, but Gragas will get bullied a bit in mid lane because it's not like the Baron lane. Jace, I don't even want to talk about Jace. What a stupid champion. But Jace is okay in the mid lane. I feel like champions like the Ziggs as well is falling off in the current patch because, you know, you have VOLIBEAR right now who can dive Ziggs so easily. I don't know, like, I always used to say that Ziggs is like secretly a very strong champion, but now he's fallen off quite a bit. Anyone interesting that deserves talking about? No. I mean, AP Misfortune, no. It's... you know, they did buff Misfortune's third ability like a few months ago, but meh, it's not that strong. Next up, we got the ADC role. And let's talk, guys. Let's talk about this. No broken tier champions, but Jhin is sitting on top of the S+ tier. Oh boy. I love saying that. I want to say that in every tier list. Jhin is sitting on top. But you know what? I'm so glad that Riot is giving Jhin the attention that he deserves. I feel like he's a bit too strong. But like, this is good. Like, having a champion like Jhin be top tier is good because he's just such an enjoyable champion. It's different than Vayne, you know what I mean? Like, who wants Vayne to be broken? Everyone hates Vayne. There's no one that likes Vayne. Like, I know Vayne is gonna get buffed soon. I know she's gonna get buffed because she's very underwhelming right now. But like, just keep her right there. No one wants Vayne on top. Jhin is fine. Like, people don't care that Jhin is OP. Like, people like getting destroyed by Jhin. You know, when Jhin one-shots me, I'm like, oh yes, yes, that felt so good. But you know, when a Vayne kills me, it's like, man, I don't want to play this game anymore. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you guys understand. You love getting one-shot by Jhin. You're just gonna be like, oh my god, yes, yes, you know. So that's why Jhin needs to stay there, and Jhin is there. But let me now explain why Jhin is S+ tier. Obviously, he destroys squishies, but Jhin is actually able to kill tanks now as well. That's the beauty of him. He can kill tanks as well. His ultimate does crazy damage, and he's really fast. So it's very hard for the enemy to catch you. Next up is Kai'Sa, even with the nerfs, sitting right behind Jhin in the S+ tier. Whether you play AD Kai'Sa or AP Kai'Sa, both are still very viable. Tristana is very, very strong as well in the ADC list. I would say she is a bit weaker than Jhin and Kai'Sa, but I would still put her in the S+ tier. I just think she deserves that. Next up is Ezreal, and Ezreal with the new Essence Reaver is incredibly powerful. I am working on an Ezreal video, but I first want to bring out an ORNN video, so Ezreal is a bit on a pause right now, but I am working on it. It'll be released within a week or so. Lucian feels very strong as well with the new Essence Reaver. Just overall a solid champion. He only lacks a little bit of range. His ultimate makes up for that a little bit though. But Lucian is just a very solid champion. Zeri is really good as well, especially if you pick it into a good draft against a lot of shielding. So for example, if the enemy has a Sona, you pick Zeri. And especially, you know, the bruisers that have a lot of shields, like the Riven, like the Urgot, you know, like the Volibears. You want to pick Zeri into that, and you'll be very strong into them. You'll be a very, very strong pick. And I feel like people kind of underestimate Zeri. By the way, if you look at Zeri with a bit of squinched eyes, does she look like Michael Jackson, or is it just me? Like, if you think about the nose, it looks a bit messed up, and then the hair and the eyebrow. I don't know. I should probably not talk too much about that. But yes, I casually want to remind you guys, by the way, if you haven't already, make sure you give the video a like. It really, truly supports the channel a lot. And also, I hope you answered the question on who is the broken champion, because you'll see it in the next tier list. You can probably guess who it's going to be. But yeah, next one is going to be Twitch. Twitch feels bit underwhelming now. In the ADC role, like again, Twitch is okay, it's very, very good, but it feels a bit underwhelming, just a little bit. Late game Twitch is still ridiculously strong with the ultimate and stuff, but like I feel like early game you can really get bullied by like Jhin, Tristana, Ezreal, even Caitlyn, Varus, anyone. Next up is Samira. Samira is very strong, but is very draft reliant, incredibly draft reliant. Because again, people have figured out Samira a bit. You know, they're building the repulsors. And you know, when you're against a Thresh or anything like that, they're gonna cancel your ultimate very easily. So you have to make sure you pick it into the right draft, and you still have to go for QSS. Like, go QSS. That's the one thing that can possibly save you as a Samira in a harder draft. Using QSS doing your ultimate, it will allow you to use your ultimate more efficiently and not, you know, not have it be cancelled in 0.5 seconds. Senna ADC is very strong. When you pick it with a Nasus or like any sort of a tank, you know, you go for carry Senna. But like I prefer Senna support with an ADC. I don't know, I just kind of prefer it and having a tank somewhere else. Jinx ADC feels a bit underwhelming. It's okay, it's like fine, but it feels a bit underwhelming as opposed to, you know, Jhin, Kai'Sa, Tristana, Lucian, Ezreal. It feels a bit underwhelming. I love seeing Vayne in the A tier, by the way. She feels very underwhelming. Like, why though? Why though? You know what? I do get why. Because Kai'Sa can destroy Vayne now. Tristana is quite good with the Immortal Shield Bow against the Vayne. Jhin, I think the fact that Jhin can actually demolish Vayne now, as opposed to before, where Jhin would get 1v1 easily by a Vayne, definitely contributed towards Vayne becoming a bit weaker now. So I'm glad. Also, the new Randuin's Omen, you know, which got released like a few months ago, definitely counters Vayne very, very hard. So like even tanks will be a bit harder to kill when you're playing Vayne. Caitlyn feels useless, but still sitting on top of the A tier. Like when you go for the Collector, she can be nice. Her ultimate is nice, her traps are nice, but she does underwhelming damage. Xayah is fine, also a bit underwhelming, but like her ultimate is very, very good into certain champions. Like if you're against like diving sort of champions, like a Riven or something like that, Xayah's ultimate can be an absolute game changer, you know, because you can dodge the engage and you can root whoever is diving you, which is very good. AP Varus is dead, by the way. You cannot play AP Varus anymore. They literally cut the damage in half, if you missed that, by the way. They literally cut it in half, the damage, so like I'm not even kidding with that. They cut down the scaling on the second ability in half, from 0.02% per 100 per AP to 0.01. So you're doing like nearly half the damage now. It's useless. AD Varus is really weak as well. Like lethality Varus is just not that. It's just not it. It doesn't do that much damage. Veigar, I'm not gonna talk about them. They're kind of boring. Ashe feels a bit underwhelming. She's okay, but she's not that bad though. Like thinking about it now, probably the tier list probably looks more like this. Yes, she would be sitting on bottom 80. She does a little bit underwhelming damage, but she's okay. You know who I think really sucks right now? Draven. I think Draven is so bad right now. I think he deserves a buff. Like, it feels so punishing to play Draven. Like, Jhin demolishes Draven. It's not even funny. It's not even close. Like, how does a Jhin, you know, Jhin is a good matchup into Draven, I know. But like, Draven doesn't even have a chance against the Jhin. It's so funny. Draven deserves a buff. He deserves a bit of a buff. Also because Draven doesn't really enjoy the new items as much as the other ADCs. So like, I really think Draven should get a buff. Don't play Misfortune as well, by the way. It's kind of useless right now. Next up is the support tier list. And there she is. There is the stupid champion. This is not okay, okay? This is indeed the broken champion. If you were right about that, congratulations. I'm pretty sure a lot of you should be right about this one. Yuumi is like... just permaban Yuumi. Always ban Yuumi or first picker. Never leave her open. She is also never left open. She's always picked or banned. Like every single game I've been in, she's either picked or banned. Literally every game. Next up is Lulu, who's a bit of a similar champion as a Yuumi, but you cannot pick Lulu with Jhin and Ezreal and champions like that. That's the only problem with Lulu, because like Yuumi you can pick it with everything, but Lulu is a bit more reliant on having a proper ADC who utilizes your attack speed, but Lulu is disgusting. Lulu is also absolutely disgusting. Next up we got Sona. I have to do it. This is my tier list. This is my opinion. Sona is ridiculous. Really, really strong champion. I don't need to explain why. Just watch my Sona videos. If you haven't already, you're living under a rock, watch my Sona videos and get yourself free wins. Sona is the only champion that I have Sona is my only champion with a 70% win rate. 7-0, yes, 70%. And that's really good, by the way. She's broken. Next up is Braum, and honestly I've become a bit of a Braum enjoyer now. Like, I'm playing against good Braums and I just cannot do anything. They block everything with that stupid shield. The stun is so powerful as well, and then the ultimate too, very good team fighting CC. Braum is also quite powerful in lane at catching out enemy champions with the stun. Just overall a very solid champion, just very, very strong. Especially when you go for a Protector's Vow, you know, he even counters assassins like the Evelynn. You know, when Evelynn dives the ADC, Protector's Vow will be able to save the ADC against, you know, the likes of an Evelynn. Next up is Nami. Nami is a very big lane bully. Nami can carry games herself. She does a lot of damage. And Nami has very good team fights with her ultimate, with her first ability. Just overall a very solid champion. And, you know, her being able to constantly buff the movement speed of her allies with any ability also contributes to her being S+ tier. Just a very solid champion. Next up is Pyke. They actually buffed Pyke's ultimate by like 0, 25, 50 damage. Very strong. Like, his ultimate feels much stronger right now. Just overall very solid champion. Even when you're behind, the ultimate is just strong. Whenever an enemy champion gets to low HP, you just execute them with your ultimate and you make a comeback in the game. Because remember, executing an enemy with Pyke's ultimate, or even when an enemy gets killed in the X, you get so much gold for you and your team. So like, you can really get a lot of gold with that. So when you're behind, it's really good, because when you shut down an enemy champion, you'll get insane amounts of gold. And when you're ahead, it's good, because it allows you to snowball more easily. Next up is Karma. Karma is great, but I feel like Karma has become a bit weaker because people are actually building Serpent Fang into Karma now. And Serpent Fang cuts down big parts of Karma's power, because obviously a big part of Karma's power is the shielding, the constant big shields. So when people go for Serpent Fang, they will counter that. Janna is super powerful as well. You know, you can roam around as a Janna all the time, constantly gank lanes with that second ability and the first ability. And in team fights, she's very strong as well, especially against sustained damage like Orianna and something, because her ultimate will completely heal up her entire team. Man, I'm sweating and I'm hungry. Oh, let's finish up this video. Thresh is very good as well, if you're good at hooking. Also, Thresh is really good at ganking all the time. Like the hook, the third ability, the ultimate is just very solid. And a good Thresh player is going to be able to use the kit very, very well too, because the second ability is very good. Like, you can combine ganks with your jungler really well. You know, you use your second ability, get your jungler in and hook the enemy and instant kill. Like, they will never see that coming. Lux support is very strong, whether you go full AP or more of a supportive type of Lux, where you go Staff of Flowing Water, Harmonic Echo. The Protect enchant is so good on Lux. Like, you can hit multiple allies with your second ability, buffed by the Protect enchant. It is just so strong. You'll give them a shield that's like close to half their HP. It's ridiculous. Alistar is very good at third diving, but a bit underwhelming as opposed to, you know, the other supports. Just Alistar is good. Soraka is good as well. You can of course build anti-heal to counter her, but she still feels good. Even though the enemy has anti-heal, her healing still feels very, very strong. Galio is good at roaming around. Swain's support is surprisingly good, especially if you don't trust your ADC to carry the game. You can kind of go Swain support and bully the enemy in lane and carry the game yourself. Ornn support, I have not tried it, I have not even seen it, but I think it is viable. I think it would be like top 8 tier. I think it is viable. Leona support is good. Her all-in potential is so strong. She does so much damage. You know what? I think she would be stronger than Ornn. Nah, she would probably be here actually. She's very, very strong. I'm really doing her dirty by putting her in the A tier. She's very, very strong. Rakan is insanely weak right now. I love it. I hate Rakan. Rakan is still good in the right hands. Like, if someone is really good at Rakan, he's still very good. But they nerfed his AP ratio so much that, you know, full AP Rakan doesn't pay off at all anymore. Like, even full AP Rakan is not going to be able to one-shot enemies, and he's gonna be insanely squishy. Now you have to play Rakan with, you know, sort of a mixed build. You can go for Mandate plus tank, or you can go full tank, but that's how you have to play Rakan right now, which I believe is more healthy for the community. Nautilus support is okay. His ultimate is the big thing. You can catch out enemies with his ultimate. But overall, hitting his hook on the enemy is actually not easy. It's not as easy as Blitzcrank or Pyke or Thresh. Those hooks feel a bit more reliable than the Nautilus hook. Do you guys remember, by the way, back in the days where the only champion with a hook was Blitzcrank? Do you guys remember those days? Well, I do. By the way, Brand is good. Very, very solid. Like, again, if you don't really trust your ADC, or, you know, when you want to pick Brand, if you, for example, have like a Garen top lane, a Vi jungle, a Swain mid lane, like champions that don't have a lot of damage, you can throw in the Brand support and be, you know, sort of a secondary carry. You know, your ADC is going to be the main carry, or you, but like you're going to be this providing DPS. So if your team lacks DPS, you can pick Brand. Volibear support, I think, is going to be good. Not super good, but it can be good to, you know, turret dive with your ultimate. And of course, catch enemies with the stun. And he would be very good at roaming. Of course, because of his ultimate, he can just constantly turret dive. His first ability also gives a 1-second stun, which is very valuable. So like I think he would be a very good roaming support. Anyone interesting to talk about? Blitzcrank is meh. He feels a bit weak. Mundo, you can pick Mundo's support only against Thresh. Whenever the enemy picks Thresh, trust me, pick Mundo and constantly bully the Thresh with your first ability. It works because Thresh can never hook you. That's the thing. She can never hook you, or he can never hook you. And whenever he does use his hook, you just use your first ability on him and you bully him to death. Any support only play it against Sona. And honestly, it's still very hard to play. But like the whole point of any support is you always focus Sona. So yeah, that is it gonna be for the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'm gonna go eat some food because I'm super hungry, and I will see you all in the next VOLIBEAR video. Bye bye.